Greetings, Questers. So I'm going to go into the journal system and how this can benefit your players as well as you. I use this almost extensively for all my note-taking, and I've found this has made my gaming so much easier because everything that I need to run a game is stored right here. So one of the things I like to do is I typically like to create groups of various things that I'm going to deal with, and you can simply do that by hitting this add button. And when you hit add, it's going to bring up this new journal entry, and I can type in whatever I want. So maybe I want to do something like characters, and so that all of the players, I'll set the privacy level so that all of them can see it. I'll set it to public. And it follows the same privacy standards that the rest of Questline follows, which is public is for everyone, protected is for those specific people, and private is only for the GM. And from there, I can go to the Details tab, and I can go to this Edit button. And the Edit button allows me to edit any text that I want to do here, if I have anything important to say or to record. Now, in this case, because I'm just creating a group, I'm not actually going to save anything there, but I am making it public for everyone. And from there, I will actually come to this add child, which will create a child object of it. And then maybe we'll do Elfric's background. So Elfric on Aldar. And then I'm going to make this protected. I'm going to set it to just obviously myself. And then I can just simply will save, and then I can look at the details here, and under the details I'll open them up and edit, and then I'll show the preview of the Markdown Editor, and it will allow me to start typing in some details. So, you know, Elfric on Aldar, child of the woods, and then here's some cool ranger stuff. Right, so I'd create a cool background. I want to write that. What I can do is I can actually take this and I can create a background by selecting all of the text there and then hitting this parchment button. And what it will do is it will actually throw a parchment background around this, which makes it really easy to read. You know, maybe I'll adjust the headings so that it's a little bit smaller so it's easier to read. And maybe I'll use some Markdown and give myself a little horizontal rule there. You can also do stuff like a little bit of basic HTML Markdown, which is a little more advanced for people, but you can do things like this to give yourself a kind of a nice, clean view of a journal that you want. You can also go so far as to insert an image. I can actually come in here and say add image. I can come and I can pick a picture. I'll pick my wonderful picture of Elfric, which was made by a friend of mine named James Austin, who's an amazing artist. And I will simply change the effect so that it's a watercolor effect to make it a little bit more fantasy looking. I'm going to float it to the right so that it stays on the right hand side, and I'm going to make it only about 50% of the width. And then I'm going to hit save. And so you'll see once this is done, you'll see that this cool effect will happen. The picture will show up there. It's some really neat way to display this stuff. And I'll change the text and I'll actually move it down below, and you'll see now it actually floats on this side. And then you can copy and paste some stuff, maybe make it a little bit better. And even so much, maybe I'll make it a little smaller. So this is the kind of stuff in the advanced journal system that is provided. And you can even go so much as changing the background. If you have a sci-fi setting, you can change it to sci-fi. It'll give you some nice sci-fi effects. You can change the image effect to be some sort of like scanline effect. There's a lot of options here that can get into some really clever stuff. Go to your heart's content. This will get pretty in-depth if you want it to. There's also some very quick things to be able to change some text if you want to. I'm going to select the text and I'm going to hit bold, and it's just going to add the appropriate markdown to the text itself. And then you can see it's added some just basic markdown for you. Now from here, I just want to show some examples of things you can do in the journal system. The journal system is incredibly powerful and can be very useful. You'll see that down below I've actually shared a quest journal that I've created, which is in this handout section. And if from a player's perspective, If I had this menu closed and this was shared, I can simply click on this and it will open up the journal for them and they can see this in great detail. Now this goes into a much more advanced set of customization options that I've built in. I'm using some basic HTML, some CSS down at the bottom to do some styling. And then I come up with this really nice quest journal that I use for a couple of my play-by-post games that can make it a lot easier for players to kind of see what they're doing. And so if you take a look at some other options, I have another one which is a custom spell I made for another game, which uses a very minimal amount of HTML to kind of change the font and to do a little bit more. But the end result is I get this really cool spell that I can share to players and they get this really nice effect. And then from a GM perspective, I can keep campaign notes. I can get into incredibly detailed campaign notes if I want and write entire adventures. I like to use the parchment background when I'm dealing with fantasy-based games. It really helps me kind of bring me in the mood of what I'm reading. And then there's plenty of other options for sci-fi as well to kind of make it a little bit more agnostic. So the options that you see here is that you have a private, the actual privacy settings here will show you whether it's protected or public or private. You also have an add child button here, which will allow you to quickly add a child to this specific node, and then share to chat. As you hover over, it will allow you to share that specific item to the chat. You can also navigate around if you have various levels of depth of your notes. You can click on this up above and it will bring you back to that place. So it's very easy to navigate around. You can also delete the journal entries. You can add children from here, close it. You can add root items, and then you can also search by typing in things that you're looking for. So if you have a large journal section with lots of filled out pieces that you can actually use, you can use that to find things that you're looking for very quickly. So that's the quest journal. Thanks for stopping by. Keep questing.